Thank you so much for joining us on Africa this morning. We're now on Table Talking. Today we're going to be discussing fashion, but there's a different take to this conversation because we're going to be digging deeper on what responsibility you have as an individual to establish your fashion sense. Joining us to share her fashion story is Carole Kinoti, who is the head of the Carole Kinoti Collections, and a fashion designer at that. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Welcome to Ebru Africa. We've had several designers on the show, but every designer has a different story. And we've managed to unearth an interesting conversation about how even as a Kenyan community, we have the responsibility to unearth our story. But how did you unearth the story that is yours in Carole Kinoti Collections?
Carole Kinoti. It's not Caroline, it's Carole Kinoti. Yeah. I've been in the industry for a while, the last 10 years, and I focused mainly on made to measure. And I think over time I've been able to relate with many different kind of people for different reasons. And I picked up a lot of experience. And when I was coming up with this, my first collection, I did a summary of, out of those 10 years, generally 4 points, what has come out clean and clearly for me, so that I'm able to put it in one collection and describe the Kenyan woman within it.
What inspired you to start the line? What inspired you to want to bring out a new story in fashion in Kenya?
I felt like, number one, Kenyans need to start. I want to see my clothes in the streets, not just in occasions. I want to see almost everyone being able to, most people at least, the middle class, being able to afford what it is that I do put together. I felt like over 10 years, people do not know what I can do. So I thought it's about time I came out and told people, you know what, I understand you as Kenyans. And let me try and show you within my clothes, or at least what I think about the Kenyan woman.
What do you think about the Kenyan story in design?
Kenyan story, I think the Kenyan woman is very beautiful. You don't have to put them in very tight clothes for you to see how feminine they are and everything. And when you look at my collection, there's a lot of flowy fabrics, there's a lot of silk, there's a lot of easiness in the outfits. And girly, and that's a Kenyan woman across from 18 years to the 50-year-old. They want to stay young, they want to feel young, they want color. I love color. And I mean, our country is beautiful, it's full of color, and that inspired me, actually putting together natural fabrics, putting together the Kenyan woman and
bringing her to the platform of the international community.
Yes.
But the Kenyan story has had several missteps. We were discussing earlier before the interview how we have, in a sense, failed to find our own compass as a Kenyan community in the fashion industry. Looking at how we misstepped, again, when we were finding the Kenyan uniform that was supposed to be the Kenyan umbrella, the Kenyan compass, the Kenyan flag, in terms of what we wore in international platforms. In your thinking, why did we fail in that? And how can you, in a sense, through Carole Kinoti Designs, bring that out for the population? Or is it even possible?
No, I don't think I'll try, because the Kenyan dress was brought together by experienced designers, and they thought through the process. But my take on it is that it's too strong, it's too much, and the Kenyan woman is very versatile. You cannot fix them into one corner and tell them this is how you should dress as a Kenyan. You need to allow them to pull in a little bit of the ethnicity and let them also be a bit modern, which is what you'll see in a lot of my designs. Simplicity, modern, not too ethnic, not too African. I think that is a Kenyan woman. They need space. They should be able to pick out the modern outfit and wrap it up with a headgear and pick in the ethnic. So I think it was too strong. It was too strong for us to take in.
Getting a comfortable middle is what you have managed to do.
Yes.
Establishing a contemporary, modern expression.
Yes.
But when it comes to the fashion industry, not many are able to afford the idea that fashion is an expression of themselves. Share with me how you interact with your clientele every day to be able to ingrain in them the importance of having this as a priority, considering that they say image is everything.
Well, yes, image is everything. And for me, day to day, the first thing I do is try to pick out your character, who you are, who do you want to be, because there are those who have already established who they are. There are those who are trying to find their position. And I think as a woman, the sooner you figure that out, the better.
How difficult is it when you're working with someone who hasn't figured themselves out in design?
It depends. Are you allowing me to help you figure it out? Because if you do, yes, I will. It's not difficult, because designing and fashion is almost a process that involves becoming a friend and trusting me to be able to figure you out and tell you, you look nice in this, allow it, and it will actually work from you. But it's a step. We work on you steps, in short steps, and by the time you're doing the second outfit and the third outfit, you're ready to actually tell us, you know what?
You've already found who
yes,
you are.
Yes, and you're confident that we will sort you out without here.
Do you feel that the international front, in a sense, and the trends that are dictating the fashion industry in the international front sort of cripple Africa's expression of itself? Or what do we need to do to ensure that we are not just part of the bandwagon of the market as it is?
No, I don't think we should. I think we should take it in. We should have actually welcome it. But after you do, try and find who are you? Who are you as an African? Who are you as a Kenyan? Can I bring in the Western and the modern look and put a hint of my Kenyan self in it? Yes. If you do that, it works perfectly, because the world has become, you know, one global place.
Village,
yes, and you cannot ignore, because the fashion industry out there is quite strong and it seems to influence us. But are you able to pick it out and at the same time position yourself and say, okay, fine, this looks like nice, very nice in yellow, but who am I? Who am I? Can I pick a bit of this and that out of it and still bring Carole or myself into it? Understand?
Is that a conversation that the government at this point is able to have to protect designers such as yourself and other designers in Kenya, to be able not to have their initiatives, their businesses, their companies weakened by the fact that the appetite for products from the international front is a lot, and it's quite huge?
I know. So far, I don't feel any help or any sense that the government is helping in any way. Because when you look at the importation, it's just extremely too high, and it's free for all to import whatever they want. We don't have materials or fabric locally that a local designer can bring out. And even the students coming from the universities, most of them, when they come out, they're not well positioned, so they're not nurtured properly to be able to flourish in the industry. So I feel we don't have any good support from the government at all.
How are you making ends meet on a business sense, creativity sense, looking at the shortfalls that are present? We don't have enough resources, we don't have enough material, the institutions will fall short because of lack of training ground for the graduates. How are you making ends meet for yourself at Carole Kinoti Collections?
It's not easy. It's not easy. Number one, I import my materials. I don't think it's easy for every designer to actually know even where to import. So I import my own materials, which, of course, first of all, since the prices are a little bit higher because the costs get higher, then I have to be forced to train my tailors a little bit more beyond the basic training so that they can understand what I'm looking for, the finishing that I'm looking for. Then beyond there, you have to make the Kenyan understand and appreciate that as a designer you put a lot of work and time into this, so appreciate me as a designer and be willing to pay for it, because it takes time. Because tailors, just the other day when people say knowing the difference between a designer and a tailor, Kenyans believed you stitch clothes, you're a tailor. There's no difference between the two. I will value what I buy from a UK-based import shop more than what I will have made locally. So it's not easy, but we're pulling through. You just have to find your space in the industry.
And hang in there.
And hang in there.
But you have literally, you didn't even find your space, you created your space by pulling in enthusiasts who are very interested in campaigning for the right for their expression through their image, looking for a designer who is able to understand their character and bring that out through their clothing. Share with us how you pulled together the runway showing that was an exclusive runway showing that showcased the excellence of your designs.
That was hard. That was hard. I've had this vision for a while, and I needed to sit down and put it together. And I had given myself a deadline of this year to be able to open my mind and my mouth and say, you know what?
And then put your foot in it.
Put my foot in it. It was a scary and expensive investment. And I knew the people to target were fashion influencers. People who understand what it is I'm doing, people who can relate, people who can understand what it is I'm doing, and people who can actually be part of the conversation. And I knew that because they feel the same way about the fashion industry. And I was looking out to show Kenyans that being a designer, being a tailor, can have a corporate image. And I did not take any shortcuts. I treated it as a business venture. What Vivo would do tomorrow is what I want to do and what I wanted to do. And what I've not told you is this is just the beginning. The event for me was to put the name out there. My firm, actually, I was rebranding and I changed my name from La Casa Designer to Carole Kinoti. And one of the reasons why I was doing that is because I realized that for the longest time, if I want to be Kenyan, then I need to stop using an Italian name because this is Kenyan, you understand?
What was the influence in the initial place to use an Italian name and now transition to your Kenyan name? What influenced you to use the international? Is it the idea?
No, actually La Casa means house of.
Yes.
And when I started La Casa Designers, I went into a very brief partnership with someone who had Italian interests. That's how the name came up. I never put so much thought beyond knowing it means house of. I knew underneath my umbrella I would like to do several things, so I treated it as simple as that. But the packaging that I was doing with the launch, and I thought that my thought process about the brand is different. This is Kenyan. I want to speak Kenyan. I want a Kenyan brand. I want to go international and have a Kenyan designer be respected. I want to invite young designers to work under the Carole Kinoti name and be proud to be, you know, designing for the brand. You understand? Because I would like to open my doors to young designers and give them a name to prop themselves with.
To establish themselves. We'll expand a little bit more on the mentorship program, which is very important, passing on the baton. But let's look a little bit deeper into your story. Even as, yes, you found your footing, but the other aspect when it comes to an individual designer is the need to convene your voices into one huge shout, to be able to call for your rights, to be able to pull the energies together so that the population can, you know, be able to focus themselves onto you. Do you feel that there's a unity in the voice of fashion designers in Kenya, and or what needs to be done to unify the voices stronger?
There's actually a body that where the Kenyan designers come together. Unfortunately, I'm not a part of it.
Why?
I needed time to first find myself, so that when I come and join the rest, then I know what it is that I want to get out of it. I did not want to go into it just as one of those people who are complaining about something. And I felt the day I will do this, because like I've told you, I've had this vision for a while, and the day I'm clear on what it is that I want to do for myself and for the fashion industry and for the Kenyans, then I know what it is I'm looking for and what it is that I'll be taking to the body or to the table.
Do you feel that you're ready at this point?
Oh, yes, I am.
And even as you're ready, it takes one's journey to have either interacted with experienced mentors who are able to sharpen their voice and even give them that guidance. How important has that been for you to be able to get people who are speaking into your business sense, speaking into your creativity, speaking into your vision, to be able to sharpen you to be more fierce, even as you're taking on runways?
I'm actually graduating on next week from a business course in Strathmore.
Congratulations.
And that has really, really helped me package my business sense. You know, artists and creatives, we have one problem. We're not business people. We prefer, like I would easily create a dress and not want to price it or not even want to sell it.
Because it's so, it's about the feeling of being an artist.
It's so much of a feeling. It's you get attached to it. And the last thing I want to talk about is money. I just don't want that kind of interruption. And I needed to actually go back to school and look at it from beyond being an artist to a business. And the course that I did, which is called the Owner Management Program in Strathmore, is a big part of what you're seeing, you know, in the launch here, because I was able now to package and bring out all the visions and turn them into a business venture.
Dare yourself to separate the artistry and the spirit of it and get into the business mind. And it is possible, even as you're sitting here, it is possible to do both, to actually balance the art and the business. Yes,
but you've got to hire the right people, because if you're an artist, you're an artist 24 hours, you're an artist. So I had to set up a team that looks at the business sense, that packages and prices the pieces that I put together and turns them into money. while all I do is draw and design. Yes.
But you also have an interesting sense of knowledge of what's happening in the background.
Oh yes, the 10 years experience, yes.
When you're looking at the future, even as you have journeyed through self-knowledge and you've gotten to a point you actually expanded your wisdom from the art into the business arm, as a person who's interested to mentor younger designers out there, share with us how important it is for young designers to understand that they need to be, in a sense, incubated in a bigger company or even a company that is growing so that they can be able to flesh out their expression as well.
What I know is, and I've taken in several attachments and different things, a young designer needs to first understand what kind of a designer they are. Who are you as a designer? Which line of design do you want to pursue? Then before you set up a business, incubate yourself, like you're saying, and in an established environment where you can pick out and know this is the direction I would like to take. But the problem we have, there's a very thin line between celebrity. What I mean by celebrity designers is a designer you only see on the catwalk, but you'll never see anybody wearing their clothes. And a lot of them are looking for the fame and not for the money from the business. So the moment you define, am I in this to be famous and be on the catwalk, so am I in this so that I can put food on the table, then the approach will be different. Your approach will be different. And as you design, anytime even as I sit down with you and you're telling me what you'd like, the first few seconds of my conversation, I need to understand how much will this cost towards production, towards cost of fabric, time and everything. Then is it sellable? You understand? So a lot of designers stay on the fancy phase and they don't look at, okay, is this streetwise? Is this wearable? Will it just be worn by one person? Can it be worn by different people? How functional is this design? Look at the Kenyan woman pocket. You know, if they wear this dress for a function, is that it? Can I use it tomorrow again? And when you look at my current collection, there's a lot of versatility. You can dress it down, dress it up, go on holiday with it, go for an evening party with it, because the economy also
every aspect of the Kenyan woman.
Very important. So if you look at design that way, then you'll turn it into a business. Yeah, that's what the young Kenyan design is not looking at here.
What can we envision from Carole Kinoti Designs, even as we look at the future? Even as you've started off on a very hot footing, what can we envision from the future?
Bigger and bigger and better. And we have different, actually, departments within Carole Kinoti. We have the ready-made line, which we just launched. We try as much as possible to tell people that after you sort yourself out, within your style, the next thing is to look at where you spend most of your day, which is where? At the office. Do you own a company? Yes. Can you bring that style or the image that the company is looking for into your space? Your employees, do they like what they wear when they come to work every morning? You need to create uniforms that when someone wakes up in the morning, say, oh, I can't wait to wear my uniform. So we create corporate uniforms as well. So we have a department that specializes on that. And we realized it was not possible to do your office wear, and not fix what you do at home. When I walk into your house today, does it reflect the lady I met parking her car today? You need to bring that style and into your home space and understand it. So within Carole Kinoti, we have the ready-made line, we have a corporate uniform segment, we have the home segment, and we have a bridal section that we work and put together.
Last word when it comes to the Kenyan fashion story, even as we are dawning into the dispensation of expanding the fashion industry, and the Kenyan population are now knowing that there's a lot of worth in investing in fashion. What's your last word? One, for the viewers out there, two, for the upcoming designers, and also we have to have a point of serikali saidia hapa.
I think I would like to urge Kenyans or talk to Kenyans about, go to your wardrobe, let's be Kenyan, let's brand Kenya, you understand? Let's hold each other's hands, from what you wear in the morning, from, where you're going. And if there's talent out there, nurture it, as much as possible, wear two pieces that are African or Western, and pick one that is Kenyan. And at least let's try and grow each other and go forward. Let's talk to our children about being Kenyan as much as they're modernized. Pick out a Kenyan clutch bag. Pick out, you know, understand and embrace Kenya. Even when you look at the fashion world right now, they are all trying to get a bit of the ethnicity. And luckily, Kenyans are talented. If you go to Cumberland, you will see Campers know how to do the weaving. Somebody else knows how to work with the leather. Pick out a bit of what is Kenyan and proudly carry it
Grow the
across.
industry.
Yeah. For our government, textile industry. Allow me to be able to sit down with a textile manufacturer here and manufacture my materials here. That's the best thing that I could ever do, because the costs will go down, will be reduced. The local designers will be able to find pieces. Those who cannot travel all over the place can go and pick out materials that we can use properly from Koblandra, who is making the uniform materials. And yeah, wait and see. I want to make sure that if you walk around, honestly, you're happy to say, I'm wearing a Carole Kinoti. Yeah.
When you're looking at the Kenyan designers out there, of course, the fashion industry in Kenya is yet to pick up on the international front. Even as we close our segment, what can you hope will be the story of Kenya, even as it takes on the international and the continental?
I would, talking to the Kenyan designers, I think let's all go back to the drawing board and suffocate this market with our brand, with our local brands. Let's give Kenyans options. Let us give us, you know, options that at least, as much as possible, they're not having to come and stitch and wait, because time is an issue. Let's produce as much as possible that is all over the shops. Let's give stockists our products. And right now, we cannot talk much because we are not giving them that. We cannot complain. I think we need to come together and look at how do we produce what is Kenyan. And even as we sit down with the government, we're telling them this is what we have. Because right now there's nothing we have to show so that they can actually listen. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us, Carole. It was a pleasure to get your story behind Carole Kinoti Designs, Carole Kinoti Collection, actually, even as you're expanding the space to have the Kenyan population understand that when it comes to image, it's not only the cheaper option that works. It's understanding that you also have a part to play as an individual to create your image. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure to just have a conversation on the deeper issues, because indeed it is a deeper issue when it comes to establishing your fashion identity. It's not only looking at the cheaper options that are available as a result of importation. What are we doing to expand the space for fashion designers in the country? That's our culture, that's our story, that's our identity. From the team and myself, enjoy the rest of your viewing right here. Thank you so much, Carole.